Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Tower of God chapter 283. It's 283, so season 2 episode 203, and this one was amazing. I'll get down, of course, to breaking it down part by part before my general thoughts, but just as a quick overview, I thought this is one of the best ones we've had in a while. And it wasn't really that emotional, or there wasn't that much that's completely core to the overall story, but just as a one written chapter, it was pretty much perfect. It was more than what I could ask for in a single week. This was at least 3 weeks worth of content probably stuffed in one chapter, and it was still done really, really well. It wasn't rushed or anything. But we start out with, since our team has just come off the train platform, I guess. They just came down the steps or whatever. They are now there, and the teddy bears had come to greet them. And we do get confirmation. Bomb says, or he at least acknowledges they called Viole Grace. And he says that he's even registered in his pocket as 25th Bomb. Of course, we soon learn why that is. But I think it was good to show that the characters did notice it themselves, I suppose. So we then cut to Jaja, and Jaja wakes up Ron. So again, nice to see them, of course. And it makes me question, since we didn't see Ron and the rest of Team Novik for the rest of this chapter, it makes me wonder what Ron, Dan, and Novik are doing right now. Or hell, even what Andrasi, Lorray... Well, I guess Andrasi and Lorray may still be coming back from defeating Marte, but makes me wonder what Hatsu and Ship are doing, right this second as well. But either way, we see Jaja wakes up Ron, and then we don't see Ron, Dan, and Novik in the current time for the rest of the chapter. So yeah, I do wonder what they're doing. But we then find out that the name was read as Viole Grace, because Anak has pretty much taken over the announcement studio and has the announcer to say whatever she wants, and she gets him to sort of urge the no-names to go and join Viole Grace's revolution, that he was going to take down Kaiser, FUG was there to save them, and urge the no-names to go join up under Viole. And then from there, of course, we get the title panel, and then we get some really, really good-looking panels for Sachi, Bomb, and Kun fighting the teddy bears. Really, really cool action panels. And then these two just amazing, amazing-looking shots of Rack and Sachi's power, the Thornbush Path, which led to two more really good panels of Rack throwing his spear and wiping out all of the, and again a second one of after he wiped them out, but him wiping out all of the little teddy bear dudes in one shot with the Mad Shocker, which again is a really, really cool looking spear. I liked seeing it again, and seeing Rack do something really, really cool was good, because I feel like we don't get to see him do cool stuff enough anymore. So it was really nice to see him just wipe everybody out and have the team rely on Rack for that. So Ryun tells them that they're being too loud and that they need to be more careful, but of course this was a good way. Kun responds, and he explains that their team already knows, or at least Kun already knows, how this whole station works, how their governance is set up, and that's really good, because we technically needed that for the story to fill in the hole, because we had already seen, we had already been there with Team Novik as they learned about how things worked. So instead of just having us go through the same thing over again with our Team Bomb group, we actually got Kun to say, we already know. So that was a good way, so that we didn't have to just skip it and act like they knew, and we didn't it was a good confirmation sort of thing to do with the writing. But from there they meet back up with Jaja, and it was Jaja and Beta, but it was really, really cute seeing Bomb and Jaja see each other again and how they were so excited. It was really, really cute. And all the comedy and the cuteness was super, super on point this chapter. Like, the comedy was amazing. But, yeah, it was hilarious. Kun finally pays Jaja. The stuff with Kun talking to Beta was funny, and Beta is still trapped in the lighthouse. And it also worked really well because now Jaja explained to them the situation that Team Ship was here and that Andraste has already fought Kaiser and lost her name. So that all worked out really, really well as well. And then then they're traveling along with their lighthouse on the floating platform, and Jaja pretty much fishes in her lighthouse for a wig, pulls it out, and asks Bomb to become Viole again. So he becomes Viole again, and just then the regulars, or the no-named regulars, start coming out, and they bow down to Viole and ask for FUG to save them. And really, all the comedy with the Bomb putting on the wig scene, with how he was so nervous about it, and how all the rest of the team were like making jokes about him being the Great Slayer candidate. So that was all hilarious. And the stuff with Boro freaking out about Andraste, and then Jaja calling him a perv. That was hilarious. I freaking love Boro. He's one of my favorite characters. So I really liked seeing more out of him. And again, the chapter did super, super well with giving us a little bit of each character that we're focusing on, which is something that, with our large cast of characters, we really need to do. So we have a flashback to Team Novik and Team Ship's conversation, and we find out from Ship that the only way, of course we already know, to get to Kaiser is when the train is at the station. That's the festival or whatever, and before it leaves the station you have to have the names of all 10 bosses. And I don't think that weakens Kaiser much, because of course Kaiser has already been shown to be stronger than Andraste, so I still think Kaiser is pretty hype, pretty badass, even though it is kind of weird that Kaiser hides behind the 10 bosses. But essentially the 5 that are left are in hiding right now, and they're having trouble finding them, and that's, I guess, just they've been trying to collect the bosses' names as quickly as they can, because it was one of the reasons why Kaiser took Andraste's name outside of making her collect the 10 bosses' names. That way Kaiser challenges her to a fight and wins, and then she escaped using Bong Bong so that she didn't become a servant, but she can't go back and challenge Kaiser again without the names of the 10 bosses. So it really shows that Kaiser is really sort of cunning and smart, and a lot of the other things show it as well. But pretty much Ship's big plan here is to announce that Jovial Grace is here, and to use Jovial Grace, the name, not only as bait to try to lure out the remaining 5 bosses in Kaiser, but also to stir up an insurrection of the no-named, because of course the no-named feel hopeless, they're trapped in the slavery system. So they're trying to incite a rebellion with them, so that a rebellion that threatens the 10 bosses in Kaiser's power is something that they can't hide from, they can't just ignore. They're just making such a big fuss that Kaiser and the 10 bosses can no longer hide, essentially. Anak has the announcer once again go and urge all of the no-name to go, gather up at the front gate and join up with Viole to join his revolution, that he was going to save him and topple Kaiser. And of course, Kun then realizes, okay, this is Ship's plan, and as cool as Kun is, and as cool as his planning and stuff is, Ship's planning is so much cooler. Ship just seems like he would not be this smart genius character, and then he always comes up with these awesome complex plans. Even back in the workshop battle, his plan was awesome. So I'm a huge Shipley Sue fan. Then again, I'm a huge Agaro fan as well, so gotta balance the two. But still, the plan is awesome, and we then get to Alphine reporting what's going on to Kaiser about all of the no-names gathering. And we get to see Lilial and Chilial, top waifu twins again, and they are actually impressed by the plan. So I think that's really cool how they're not really nervous or sweating it. They're just laughing like, ha, this Viole guy's pretty smart. He got one over on Kaiser. But again, Kaiser once again showing that she's really smart and crafty, says, I have a feeling that something's not right about this. Tell the other four bosses to remain in hiding, and as for Juvial Grace, I'll handle him myself. So again, Kaiser is still so badass, so hype. I'm like, I want to see what's under the mask. Like, I am super, super hyped for Kaiser. She is one of the coolest. If it is a she, I'm still working under the assumption that Kaiser's a woman. But she is so freaking cool. Like, the bad guys for this arc are the coolest bad guys we've had in a while. And that's kind of saying something, because Rachel's team and Joaquin are awesome freaking bad guys. Like, and the bad guys for Team Mad Dog and Reflejo and Varagarv and everything back at Workshop Battle, they were amazing as well. So in a string of really amazing bad guys, I'm absolutely loving Kaiser and the bosses. And then at the very end, we are introduced to the remaining four bosses. I'll go over their names, but I'm not going to go into too much detail, because later in the week I do want to do this week's Tower of God discussion. I kind of want to go in depth and talk more about each of the remaining 5 bosses and Kaiser, and what I think their powers or their origins might be or whatever, who I think they'll fight, what'll end up happening to them this arc. Even though I'm kind of assuming they'll all get defeated, like all 6 of the remaining ones, Kaiser and the bosses. I personally think they're just going to get defeated. I don't think Lilial and Chilial are, though. I think they will persist further in the story. Because I don't think that this is really their arc where they're the main bad guys. I think they're just going to be sitting behind the scenes, sort of, and then in a future arc they will finally come through and be bigger bad guys. Sort of like what Rachel's team did back in the Workshop Battle and pre-Workshop Battle stuff, where they weren't the main central bad guys. They were just sort of messing with stuff in the background. And then coming into Revolution Road and the Dollar Show and Wooden Horse and stuff, they were the main bad guys there. So I think that's kind of what Lilial and Chilial and their future team will be like for this arc. They'll just sort of be doing stuff behind the scenes, and then they'll be more important later on down the line. And yeah, so that's where we end with finding out the names, and the names are Yukon, the toxic waste human, Lulu of the underwater Da'an tribe, and of course the Da'an tribe are the multi-eyed, supposedly peaceful guys that we saw way back on the floor of Test, where Bomb tried to attack the dude, and he first met Kun because Kun stopped him from attacking the Da'an tribe guy. And then next was the key man Variel Vani, and he looks and seems really, really cool. I liked all of his little followers in the robes around him. So I'm excited to see more of him, honestly. And then all of my hype for Arie Iniesta. And, of course, Iniesta, the name is likely based on, I think there's a famous soccer player named Iniesta. And, of course, SIU uses famous soccer players or footballers, their names in his character naming quite often. So that's probably what it's from. So pretty much this chapter was just so good. It was amazing. All of the fighting and stuff, it had everything. It had a little bit of the fighting and stuff, which was all great. It had the comedy stuff, which was some of the best I think we've had in Tower of God. This was a really funny chapter. And throughout this entire thing, and it was super long, like I've said, it could have been, of a normal manga, that could have been 2-3 chapters or more worth. But Tower of God moves at we get such large and content-filled chapters each and every week that I don't know, it just felt like a super huge chapter, especially this week even more so than usual. It took me 23 or 24 minutes to read it in that live reaction, so it was a pretty massive chapter. And throughout the entire thing, the art stayed really, really high quality. The art lately in general has been pretty incredible even. And the dialogue as well. I thought the dialogue was really, really good in this one, and the character interaction was I'd say a definite high point. The high point was definitely the character interaction. the planning and the strategy stuff also I thought was really, really cool, and it built my hype a lot. My hype for Bomb being Viole again and having the long hair. Like I said, I thought that he was going to age in the rice pot and get the long hair back, but this is cool too, because I don't know why I figured the long hair would be back this arc. I have no idea why I thought he would have long hair back this arc and why I thought he would age and get long hair. But either way, results the same. Long hair is back, and I love long hair Bomb a lot more than the short hair Bomb. So I'm so happy to see him be Viole again, because Viole is a badass. Of course, Bomb was always the badass behind Viole, but Viole's a badass. So I'm super, super happy to see that again. I'm super hyped for Kaiser and the other bosses. I'm really excited to see them get actual fights and stuff. And if they have fights anywhere near as cool as the Ron and Hess fight were, I think we're in for some really, really cool stuff. And especially whenever somebody fights Lilial or Shilial, if they do fight this arc, or when somebody fights Kaiser, it's going to be pretty insane. Either Bomb or Andraste will fight Kaiser, probably Bomb, because I think Andraste and Anak may have a showdown with Lilial and Shilial, but it's not going to be their final showdown sort of thing. Lilial and Shilial will probably persist into the future as a threat. Since they are a threat that was sort of mentioned and foreshadowed all the way back in Volume 1, I think that it's safe to assume that they're a threat that could be around for a little bit of a while longer. So yeah, overall, this, even though it wasn't super, super emotional, not super, super key to the main overall plot, but I guess meeting another REA family member, seeing the bosses, there were a lot of important things. Just overall, I think, when you look at a work of comics or something, I think this was pretty much as perfect as you get for something that comes out each and every week, just because there was so much content. So I am giving it 10 content bombs out of 10, because it was pretty much, looking at it writing wise, I think it was pretty much a perfect chapter. It wasn't the best thing ever, like the end of Revolution Road or the end of the Dollar Show, but it was pretty intense. Pretty intense when it came to giving us a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Either way, thank you all for watching this review, and I'll be back for next week's, of course. And something in my throat. And of course, later this week, I'll be having my discussion about the remaining bosses, and probably I'll probably talk about Kaiser as well. But yeah, so that's it. If you did like this one, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of the chapter, what you thought of my review of it. Subscribe for more Tower of God, One Piece, The Walking Dead, and a lot more. Follow on Twitter if you want for updates. I'll try to keep you updated there as best I can. And that's it. So thank you one last time for watching, and I'll see you all next time.